Okay, so I think okay, so let's let's do this. I think that I'm live. This is the first one I've done on Facebook. Okay, so let's just go for it. Hello, everybody, and so today I'm talking about symbolic actions. So, what on earth are symbolic actions? A symbolic action is something that you can do to acknowledge and celebrate something in your ceremony. So it could be that you're a couple getting married or renewing your vows, and you want to do something to really add depth and meaning to your ceremony. It could be that you are having a naming ceremony for your child, and rather than just having some words spoken and some readings, you may really want to again do something that adds real depth and meaning to your ceremony. So using symbolic actions are a really good way of doing that. Excuse me, apologies. So not only does by doing them, you can be as creative as you want or traditional as you want. There are lots of symbolic actions that are sort of long-standing traditional actions that you will be really familiar with. So that you have to stick with those. You can absolutely create your own tradition, and actually that's what the authentic celebrant is all about, creating your own tradition. So doing something that's special to you, unique to you, that really means something significant to you, that again adds depth and meaning to what you're doing. So I guess the most popular symbolic action that people will be familiar with is for a wedding ceremony where they have an exchange of rings. So that's quite a traditional thing to do, to exchange rings between the couple. Some people believe that the exchange of rings actually is part of the legal marriage ceremony. It's not at all. It is actually a symbolic action. So there's nothing legal about exchanging rings. You don't have to do it, but a lot of people do choose to do it. So the symbolism there, of course, is that the wedding ring is an unbroken circle. It's a circle of precious metal, and therefore it symbolises the unbroken bond and unending love between that couple, and their precious relationship with each other. So that's essentially what the wedding ring tradition is about, and that's symbolic action. And of course, there are some words that are said around that because it's really important in your ceremony, if you're going to have some symbolic actions, that there are some really beautiful words created and spoken around that tradition. Because it's all very well, wedding rings we're all familiar with, and we kind of understand that that's quite a familiar thing to look at. But it's really and why they are important and what they're symbolising. Again, really lending itself to that depth and meaning aspect that I was talking about. So wedding rings, obviously exchanging rings is between the couple, but it doesn't mean that that action has to be limited to just the couple. It could be that you want to involve your guests in your symbolic action. So with the exchanging of rings, for example, it could be that your celebrant blesses the rings. Excuse me. It could be that your guests bless your or it could be just a significant few people of your guests. And the idea is that those rings are passed around, they're held in people's hands, and they just take a moment to bless them, really, and to bestow onto those rings their wishes and hopes for the couple. And then the ring moves on to the next person, and they do the same until that's finished and the rings come back to the couple to exchange. So that can be a really nice way of incorporating your guests into your ceremony. And that's otherwise known as a ring warming, that particular action that I was just speaking about. Other actions that you can take, and you will know a little bit about this, A, if you've seen me at a wedding fair recently, because I like to talk about it, or B, if you are signed up to my newsletter, I also talk about symbolic actions in that quite regularly. So another symbolic action that can be a really nice thing to do is a sand ceremony. Now, you may or may not be familiar with that already, but the idea is that you have different coloured sands, and again you can do this as relationships, and so they're both families are coming together to form a new family. And having a ceremony around that, you might choose to use sand to symbolise your union as a family. So the idea is that you have different coloured sands, and those colours could be just personal choice. It could be the favourite colour of each individual that's involved in that sand ceremony. It could be you pick specific colours because different colours have different meanings in general. So it might be that you choose different colours of sand for that reason. Everybody, whoever's involved, pours their colour of sand into one central have been created before, and those grains of sand will be linked together and will never be able to be separated. So again, that's all symbolising your union, as whether it's a couple or, like I said, a family, and your unique bond with each other and your unbroken bond with each other. So again, that's something that's really, really nice to think about. So there's just a couple of suggestions or explanations, if you like, of symbolic actions. And again, I just reiterate that it's just so lovely to have something that creates that depth and meaning and significance in your ceremony, rather than just saying some standard words. And readings can also add something special to a ceremony, but I think symbolic actions really have got the sort of the cherry on the cake, really. Now, I have got a list as long as my arm of different symbolic actions for different occasions and different ways of doing them, but it's by no means an exhaustive list. So, like I was saying earlier, you can be traditional, or you can pick off a list if you're thinking, well, I don't even know where I'd start with a symbolic action. It's often quite a lot easier to look through a list and go, oh, do you know what, that one really resonates with me, I really like that, let's do it. And that's brilliant. But actually, if you're thinking, no, I've had this idea and I really want to do this to symbolise this, because that's really important to us as a couple, it's really important to us as a family, to highlight that, absolutely, I would comments, hashtag replay, so I know that you're there. But yeah, message me, let me know. I'd be really interested to hear what your thoughts are. A way of remembering a loved one that has passed away, by planting a tree. considered very lucky if you're Chinese, for example. And it also is said in Chinese culture to promote wealth and good fortune. So that might be something that you'd like to try and encourage into your life. Or, for example, an elm tree. And they can be actions, like I said, from sort of a prescribed list, or it can be something that you have, thought of that's really original, that really means something to you. So I think the only other thing that I really wanted to say was that every good celebrant will have a kit bag. They will have a little bag of tricks and props and things that they will use for symbolic actions. So if you're using a celebrant, ask them what's in their kit bag. I have got my kit bag, although it's actually down there under a shelf. Moment I should have got it out to show you. On my YouTube channel there is a video of what's in my kit bag that I did a few months ago, so that might be something that you want to take a look at as well. I talk about a few other different things other than the actions that I've spoken about just now. So if you want to go over to YouTube, absolutely go and have a look there. If you are not already signed up to my newsletter, you can do so by just going to the website. So it's theauthenticcelebrant.co.uk, and on the homepage there is a sign up form for the newsletter. So as I said earlier, I usually talk about symbolic actions and lots of other great tips and ideas and things for ceremonies in the newsletter, so do sign up for that. And I think that's probably about it for symbolic actions at the moment. I think I've been about 15 minutes, which is about right. That's great. Okay, so I'll leave it there. If you've got any questions at all, do drop me a line. Absolutely, on Messenger, on Facebook, Instagram. I'm all over the place, so it's really easy to get in contact. Email, phone. Have a look on my website. There's a get in touch